brings it up.
Welcome to a very special Week 3 podcast of the MRMFL, folks. We had Milt Stegall at the Morden Gridiron for Game 4 this week. More on that later, but let's get right to the action of the first 3 games, folks. Saskatchewan had its best game of the season so far, with only 1 interception and no turnovers on downs. Look at how the Rider receivers ran routes and caught passes. Pass completions and first downs were aplenty in the game. This costly Saskatchewan interception, as they were threatening to tie the game against the Argos, was all the little squeak room that the Argos needed in this game. Offensively, the Argos continue to use high completion routes and passes to methodically move down the field. The pre-snap motion as a tactic to throw off defense is also in their arsenal. The Argos would score on all possessions. Coach Borge, however, was very happy to have his GQ shot because he wanted to be someone else we know very well. Folks, let's get right to Game 2. BC was in a battle all day long, completing great passes and moving the ball. BC would score twice on the day with a convert for a total of 13 points. Seen here, BC can throw downfield long bomb and score points to boot. Hamilton was also on fire, and you can see on the first play of the game they do a down, in, and go, and they make it happen and get great field position to start their first drive. They would continue to manage their offensive drives, also scoring 13 points, resulting in the first tie of the MRMFL season. Take a look at this. Hamilton receiver do a spinorama off the goalpost and score a touchdown to boot. Folks, afterwards, the two coaches would meet for a pre-Halloween pick, I would imagine. Let's get right to Game 3, where the Montreal Alouettes had such a great game statistically that one would think they would have won the game. They would have consistent drives all day long, scoring every time on every drive, scoring several converts. Calgary also had an equally offensive game, with Calgary receivers hauling in pass after pass after pass. And folks, you can see that they are able to go long, and after they make the catch, they can even get great, huge yards after the catch. Folks, that ability to strike quickly is beneficial, because in fact, after the bell rang, with one last play in the game, Calgary did score the winning touchdown. And now let's get to the feature game of the week, folks, as CFL All-Star Winnipeg Blue Bomber Great popped in for a visit to check out the league. Fans were in the house to see Milt Stegall, and as the invitation last week indicated, some even invited the family pet. Folks, Milt immediately headed to the MRMFL Winnipeg team to help warm up the Winnipeg team. He would do defense, forcing the receivers to do great routes and catch the passes. And then he decided to try his hand at quarterback, completing some great passes, seen here. He would also like to show how his arm was strong, and he would take some receivers deep as well, maybe trying to intimidate the Edmonton team. What happened next, you wonder?
Hi, Chase.
No smiling.
Oh.
They're not your friends today. After the game, they're your friends. But during competition, they're your enemy. If you don't win, you don't eat. Don't win, don't eat. Right?
Right.
What's our motto? You don't win, you don't eat.
Don't win,
You don't win, you don't eat. They're the enemy. They may be your friends after this, before this, but during the game, they're your what?
enemy.
You don't win, you don't
Eat.
You don't win, you don't
Eat.
All right, let's have some fun. With this, I don't like losing. I don't like losing, all right? Because this is going to be the first play we call, all right? What pizza do you guys like? Pepperoni. Pepperoni?
Yeah.
All right, I like cheese pizza. Pepperoni cheese pizza?
Yeah.
All right,
Cheese
remember,
pizza, yeah.
we don't win, we don't
Eat.
We don't win,
We don't eat.
We don't win, we don't
eat.
You tell to your
Well, folks, great words of wisdom from Milt. Edmonton would win the rock, paper, scissors, and they would start methodically moving the ball down the field, with many great routes and runs, finishing the opening drive with this long touchdown. Great action by Edmonton to start the game. Winnipeg would start with a true blue bomb, getting into scoring position quickly. They would immediately score, but be down a convert. back and forth all day long as Winnipeg weren't fazed by Winnipeg Hall of Famer on the other sideline. They would strike quickly again. All of a sudden, we had an injured bomber calling for a substitution. Milt, showing no mercy, lines up as he had for 14 professional seasons. Down the field he would go, seemingly coming out of retirement for this occasion. He wouldn't disappoint. Our young Edmonton defender prevented him from actually scoring a touchdown momentarily, as on the next play, Winnipeg got back into the game, still a convert short. BC coach Tellier was seen scouting yet again this week. Or was he trying to get an autograph from Milt Stegall? Back to the action, Edmonton, more completions, but then turnover of downs. Winnipeg would take over with Milt at quarterback now and gain yards, sometimes completing short passes, as sometimes completing a short pass is better than an incomplete long one. Folks, they would finish the drive with a TD, still converts short. Back Edmonton would go, making quick work, marching the field, and then completing this spectacular touchdown. Milt then used his new t-shirt as a backdrop to creating a play here that it would be huge as they would go downfield and actually execute what he called in the huddle. After bringing Winnipeg closer, Edmonton would try to extend their lead and quickly scored on this, yet again, long bomb. Milt stayed quarterback for this GQ moment, of course, then tried some trickery as he pitched the ball to Commissioner Morrison, who showed that he too can throw a deep pass as well. After the ball fell incomplete, and while Commissioner Morrison hasn't called a single penalty all year, he calls for an interference, giving Winnipeg yardage up close to the scoring position. Winnipeg would score on this possession, but would fall 3 points short in the game. After Milt led the handshakes, he would then go and do a short keynote speak to all the fans. Let's listen in quickly on a brief recap of this.
Because of the sacrifice and the hard work that my parents put in. And every day I came home from school or when I came home from a sporting event, the only thing they would ask me was, did you do your best? Did you give your chance your best opportunity to be successful? Did you study your hardest? Did you work your hardest on the football field? When I played basketball, when I ran track, when I did soccer, whatever I did. That was the only thing they asked me. They didn't ask me how many goals I scored, how many points I scored, if I got an A or if I got a B, but did you prepare to your best of your ability?
Just great words of wisdom, Milt. Milt would then run down the tunnel high-fiving every kid who was at the event. You just got to love his passion for football and kids. And then finally, he would sign the Morden Mug Championship Trophy. What a great guy. I will have my final thoughts momentarily. Let's get right to the stats this week, folks. Saskatchewan's costly interception was the result in their loss. We had the first tie of the season in Game 2. We had the first buzzer beater in Game 3. And folks, you saw the Edmonton game where they won. They weren't even fazed that Milt Stegall was on the Winnipeg sidelines. Let's get right to pigskin prognostication for Week 4, folks. I was 1-3 this week for a total of 7-5. Here's how I see this week's games going. I've got the Argos based on their record. I've got the Ticats also on record, but boy, this is going to be close. I've got the Stamps because of their confidence buzzer-beating win this past week. And I've got Edmonton, who really weren't fazed by Milt Stegall. They won't be fazed again this week. The Instagram pick of the week is Hamilton, and folks, those Hamilton receivers certainly do run great routes. In conclusion, folks, Milt Stegall is an incredible professional football player for 14 years. He was also, and is just an incredible man off the field who's got a passion for kids, and just a great guy. Milt, thank you so much for coming to Morden, to our little mini gridiron, and to inspire the kids and just check out this wonderful league we have. You're a great man. Thank you so much. Folks, whether you are on the gridiron, like Milt was today, whether you are in the bleachers, like Milt was as well today, or whether you follow us on Instagram, #MRMFL, like Milt Stegall does, you need to be there or be square.